I never thought a morning could feel like waking up in someone else's skin. Yet, here I was, staring at a ceiling I didn't recognize, the sunlight spilling across walls that looked softer, more feminine. My eyes drifted to the mirror across the room, and my stomach dropped. The reflection staring back at me was not entirely my own. It was a version of me I'd never dared to imagine fully. My hair, long and chestnut, framed a face that felt both familiar and alien. And the outfit, oh, the outfit, delicate lace and silk, hugging curves that weren't supposed to be mine. Panic and curiosity collided inside me, a storm I couldn't control. My name is Ethan, though right now that felt like a distant label. I'm 24, working in graphic design, which means most of my life revolves around screens, coffee, and deadlines. On paper, I'm ordinary, a quiet guy in a noisy world. But off the clock, I have a secret that I've carried for years. I've always loved slipping into women's clothing. It started small, a scarf here, a pair of tights there, just to feel the difference, to understand it. Over time, it grew, a thrill, a release, a private escape. Isabella, my girlfriend of 3 years, knows bits and pieces about my quirks, but even she doesn't fully grasp how deep this fascination runs. Our apartment is cozy, modern, yet warm. It smells faintly of vanilla candles Isabella loves, mixed with the lingering aroma of last night's takeout. The soft hum of the city outside blends with the quiet buzz of my own racing thoughts. Usually, mornings are simple. Coffee, messages, the mundane routine of life. But today, everything is shattered. The mirror doesn't just reflect me. It taunts me. It shows the version of me that I only allow myself to explore in secret, alone. And for reasons I can't yet understand, I'm living it, fully, unmistakably. Isabella. Her name comes to mind unbidden, and my heart tightens. She's a whirlwind, bold, beautiful, fiercely independent. Our relationship is a delicate balance of trust and mystery. She knows me, but does she really know me? Could she handle the truth of this life staring back at me from my own reflection? I've often wondered, secretly hoping she might see this side of me as something beautiful, something to embrace. But the fear, oh, the fear is suffocating. Rejection is one thing. But humiliation. Losing the person I love. That's a terror I can't easily shake. My hands shake slightly as they move to adjust the silk fabric against my skin. The texture is both foreign and intoxicating. My heartbeat races. There's a strange rhythm in the air, a tension that feels almost alive, as if the room itself is waiting to see how I'll react. My mind races through possibilities. Hallucination? Dream? Some weird glitch in reality? None of it makes sense, yet every detail screams that this is real. I glance down at my fingers, long and slender in this body, and feel an unfamiliar strength and vulnerability coiling together. I remember the night before, or at least what I think I remember. Isabella had been teasing me gently about trying new looks for a costume party we were planning. Her laugh, soft and playful, had lingered in my mind. I had joked, half seriously, that maybe I could just live a day fully as a woman, just to see what it felt like. A fantasy, nothing more. Yet here I am, a living, breathing proof that fantasies can sometimes step out of the shadows and into terrifying reality. There's a sound at the door, a faint creak, and my pulse spikes. I freeze, instinctively tugging at the fabric as if I can hide myself from whatever is coming. But it's just the apartment settling, or perhaps the city murmuring through the cracks. Even so, I can't shake the tension. The thrill of hiding, the adrenaline of discovery, floods my veins. It's intoxicating, terrifying, and oddly exhilarating. I sit on the edge of the bed, toes curling into the soft rug beneath me. Every inch of this room feels unfamiliar. Every shadow, every reflection, every soft flicker of light across the furniture whispers that nothing in my life will ever be the same. My mind drifts to Isabella again, imagining her reaction if she were to walk in right now. Would she laugh? Cry? Run? Or would she simply look at me, and see me, all of me, finally unmasked? The thought makes my chest tighten, my stomach twist, and yet, I can't help but hope. The clock ticks slowly. Time feels heavier here, suspended in this strange intersection between fear and desire. I know that in the next moments, I have to make a choice. Do I embrace this life, this body, this moment, and step fully into it? Or do I retreat, try to pretend it never happened, and hope that tomorrow I'll wake up as Ethan again? The uncertainty is unbearable. And somewhere deep inside, a small, forbidden part of me whispers, what if you never want to go back? I stand, my reflection moving with me, fluid and graceful. The way the silk clings to my body, the way my hair frames my face, it's intoxicating. And yet, vulnerability shadows every step. The thrill of transformation is paired with the gnawing fear of discovery. I glance at my phone on the nightstand. Isabella's name blinks on the screen, a message from last night teasing about meeting friends later. Her plans, her world, her expectations. They feel like miles away from this strange, new version of me. I'm caught between who I was and who I might be. A sudden thought pierces my mind. Maybe this isn't just a morning. Maybe it's the start of something bigger. A secret life revealed, a challenge I never expected, a path I didn't know existed. My heart races as I consider it, each breath a mixture of fear and excitement. I'm on the edge of a precipice, staring down into a life I couldn't recognize. And yet, part of me is desperate to step forward. I take a deep breath, letting the silk slide against my skin one more time, feeling its delicate weight. My reflection stares back, unwavering. It doesn't judge, doesn't comment, doesn't question. It simply is. And somehow, that is enough to make my pulse quicken. I feel both smaller and larger at once. Smaller because of the uncertainty, larger because of the possibilities. The city hums outside, oblivious to the storm inside my apartment. And I know, with a strange clarity, that nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be the same. This is my life now, for better or worse. A life I couldn't recognize, yet strangely, I don't want to look away. The first hours of my new life were a dizzying blur. I paced the apartment, my bare feet brushing against the soft rug, the silk dress flowing with every step. Each glance at the mirror made my stomach flip. I ran my hands over my long hair, my new curves, the delicate skin that now felt impossibly sensitive. It was intoxicating and terrifying all at once. I tried to tell myself this was temporary, just a strange, unexplainable morning, but the sensation of this body, this persona, was too vivid to dismiss. The initial shock began to settle into something more complex, curiosity, excitement, and a creeping anxiety. My mind raced with questions. How did this happen? Was it some kind of dream? Or worse, some permanent shift I couldn't undo? My heart thumped in my chest at the thought of Isabella walking in at any moment. She had no idea what awaited her here, and neither did I fully. I moved toward the closet, hesitant yet compelled. The wardrobe was the same, yet somehow different. My usual clothes, baggy hoodies and jeans, looked alien in this new light. My fingers brushed over silky blouse, a pleated skirt, a pair of heels I didn't recognize owning. A thrill ran through me as I imagined trying them on. I hesitated, my rational mind screaming caution, but the part of me that had always craved this moment, the part I'd always hidden, was already taking control. I chose a soft pastel dress, the fabric cool and smooth under my fingertips. Slipping into it felt like stepping into another skin, yet it was my own skin. My reflection in the mirror shifted from unfamiliar to mesmerizing. I ran my hands over the fitted bodice, over the flared skirt, over the delicate curve of my waist. There was a heady power in this vulnerability. The vulnerability of being seen, and the thrill of knowing no one yet could see me, was intoxicating. Next came the makeup. My fingers trembled as I opened the small kit Isabella had left on the vanity. Foundation, eyeshadow, mascara, lip gloss. Each brushstroke felt like magic. Contouring my cheekbones, tracing the line of my lips, blending colors across my eyelids, it was like painting a new version of myself into existence. I almost laughed aloud at the transformation. The boy I'd been, the quiet, reserved Ethan, seemed miles away. In the mirror now was a woman who carried pieces of me but was undeniably separate. She was vulnerable, yes, but she radiated a kind of power I'd never felt before. And then the shoes. The heels, tall and elegant, made my legs look longer, my posture straighter, and my confidence surge. But every step across the hardwood floor reminded me of the precariousness of it all. I teetered, stumbled, laughed nervously. My pulse raced, not just from balance, but from the thrill of being completely exposed to this secret self, alone in the apartment yet feeling the world watching from every shadow. Time lost meaning. Minutes bled into hours as I explored this new identity, this full embodiment of myself. I practiced walking, talking, even gesturing like the woman in the mirror. There was a strange fluidity to it, an instinctual rhythm that made me feel alive in ways my old life never had. Yet beneath it all, anxiety throbbed like a heartbeat I couldn't control. What if Isabella came back early? What if someone knocked at the door? The thought of being caught froze me, made me clutch the fabric to my chest as if it could shield me from discovery. My internal struggle grew more complex. Part of me reveled in this freedom, the thrill of expression I'd always longed for but never allowed. Another part, the rational Ethan, panicked. Shame, fear, guilt, they swirled together, an undercurrent to the excitement. Could I really enjoy this? Could I embrace it fully without losing myself, or the life I knew? Each thought brought a rush of conflicting emotions. I wanted to run back to my old self, to retreat into jeans and a hoodie, but another, stronger voice whispered that this moment was something I'd always dreamed of. As I experimented further, I found myself drawn to Isabella's collection of accessories. Jewelry, scarves, handbags. Each item I picked up felt like a key to another part of this identity. A delicate necklace rested against my collarbone, and suddenly I felt both more beautiful and more exposed. I caught myself in the mirror again, tracing the curve of my jaw, the sweep of my lashes. The reflection was me, yet not me. A paradox that both thrilled and terrified me. Then came the phone. Isabella's messages were still unread. Part of me wanted to check them, to anchor myself in the normalcy of our life. But the other part, the adventurous part, froze at the thought. Could I answer in this form? Could I speak to her without revealing my secret, or would every word be a betrayal of this newly revealed self? The tension made my hands shake. I put the phone down, unable to decide, and wandered toward the living room, heels clicking softly, my shadow dancing across the walls. The suspense deepened when I heard a faint sound outside, the buildings creaking, maybe a neighbor, maybe, her? I froze, heart hammering, body taut. The thought of Isabella returning unexpectedly filled me with both panic and anticipation. Would she see this side of me and laugh? Judge me? Or, impossibly, accept it? The uncertainty was unbearable. Every sound, every creak, every flicker of shadow became a potential threat, a test of how far I was willing to go in this new life. As hours passed, I began to notice subtle changes, not just in appearance, but in sensation. My body felt different, movements softer, gestures more fluid, posture more deliberate. I spoke aloud, hearing my own voice in a higher pitch, a softer tone, the cadence of my words unfamiliar. Each reflection, each movement, reinforced that I was inhabiting this body fully, yet the world outside remained unchanged. The juxtaposition was surreal, life moving forward, oblivious to the transformation that had occurred inside my apartment. By evening, exhaustion and exhilaration intertwined. I sank onto the couch, heels kicked off, silk dress pooling around me. I could still feel the lingering magic of transformation, the thrill of curves I'd never had, the sensation of smooth skin, the confidence in my own gaze. And yet, the anxiety never left. Every noise, every imagined scenario, every fleeting thought of discovery kept my nerves taut. I was trapped between exhilaration and terror, desire and fear, self-expression and secrecy. The sun dipped lower, painting the room in a golden glow. Shadows stretched across the floor, mirroring the duality I felt within. I caught my reflection one last time before the day fully ended, tracing the lines of my face, my shoulders, my silhouette. I realized something terrifying. I had never felt so alive, so exposed, so undeniably me. But I also realized that this life, this identity, could vanish or be shattered if the wrong person walked through the door. And the thought of Isabella, her laughter, her judgment, her love, it hovered over me, a question mark I couldn't answer. I knew one thing for certain. I was on the edge of a precipice. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional, psychological, spiritual. And the next step, whatever it might be, would define me. Would I step forward and embrace this life, or retreat into safety and secrecy? The suspense of that choice, the uncertainty, the thrill, and the fear, it all collided into a single, sharp moment that left me trembling, breathless, and utterly alive. The evening had descended into shadows, and the apartment seemed to pulse with an almost tangible tension. I had been pacing for hours, heels clacking softly against the hardwood, each step echoing my anxiety. The thrill of my transformation had not faded. In fact, it had sharpened into something almost unbearable. Every glance in the mirror reminded me of how far I had come, how fully I inhabited this body, and yet how precarious it all was. The silence of the apartment felt heavy, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Then it happened, a knock at the door. My heart slammed in my chest, and I froze mid-step. Not a casual sound, deliberate, sharp, impossible to ignore. Isabella. A neighbor. The thought of anyone seeing me like this sent a jolt of panic through me. I considered hiding, changing back, retreating into my old self, but every second that passed made me feel more trapped. The reflection in the mirror caught my gaze, and I saw the duality in my own eyes. Fear and desire, thrill and shame, excitement and vulnerability, all tangled together. The knock came again, louder, more insistent. My pulse raced. I crept toward the door, gripping the hem of my dress, listening. My body trembled, every nerve on edge. What if Isabella had returned early? I hadn't even thought about how I would explain this, how I would navigate her reaction. I wasn't ready, no, I could never have been ready, for her to see this side of me fully realized. But it wasn't Isabella. It was my neighbor, Claire, a friend from a few floors down, someone I had always trusted, someone whose visit was unexpected. Relief and terror collided inside me. Relief because it wasn't Isabella. Terror because she could easily figure out something was wrong, something changed. I opened the door a crack, trying to appear casual, but the moment she stepped inside, I realized casual was impossible. Her eyes widened, taking in the silk dress, the long hair, the heels. The gasp that escaped her lips made my stomach knot. Ethan, she stammered, the question hanging in the air. The familiar name felt strange, foreign, and wrong when paired with the image before her. My mind raced. What could I say? How could I explain? And yet, a small, rebellious part of me, the part that had always craved this moment, urged me to just be. Hi, I managed, voice trembling, higher and softer than usual. The sound startled me. Every word felt like a test, every syllable a confession. Claire's gaze darted around, curious and confused. I realized in that moment how exposed I truly was, how delicate this balance between my two selves had become. You look different, she said finally, trying to smile, though the confusion lingered. And that single sentence, simple and seemingly innocent, sent my heart into overdrive. She didn't judge, but she didn't understand. The line between relief and fear blurred. One wrong word, one slip of the tongue, and the secret I had guarded so fiercely could crumble. Then came the twist I hadn't expected. Isabella's voice, from the hallway. Ethan. Are you here? The sharp familiarity made my blood run cold. My mind scrambled. Could Claire distract her? Could I hide, change back, pretend nothing had happened? My reflection in the mirror seemed to mock me, taunting me with my vulnerability, my exposed self, my forbidden thrill. In a heartbeat, everything escalated. I grabbed a scarf, trying to cover my chest, but the motion was clumsy, drawing more attention to what I was trying to conceal. My heels slipped slightly on the hardwood, and I stumbled, nearly falling. Claire rushed forward instinctively to steady me, and that single touch, the warmth, the certainty, sent a shiver through me. Vulnerable and exposed, yet alive in a way I had never felt before. Isabella's footsteps grew closer, deliberate and questioning. Panic surged like electricity through my veins. I could feel my heartbeat echoing in my ears, my hands trembling. Every instinct screamed for me to hide, retreat, become Ethan again. But another, deeper voice urged me to stand my ground, to embrace this identity fully, to show the world, even for a moment, who I truly was. The door handle rattled. Isabella would be inside any second. I made a split-second decision. I straightened, took a deep breath, and faced Claire, and through her, faced myself. The reflection in the mirror, the woman, the curves, the hair, the heels, was undeniable. I didn't apologize, didn't explain. I simply was. And in that moment, I realized the truth. Fear and excitement could coexist, and sometimes, embracing one required confronting the other. The knock on the inner door, Isabella's, was sharper now. My pulse surged violently. Claire's eyes met mine, a mixture of concern and curiosity. "Ethan, are you okay?" she asked softly. The softness of her voice, the genuine worry, both grounded me and made me more acutely aware of how exposed I was. And then, the final escalation. Isabella stepped into the hallway, her eyes narrowing, a mixture of suspicion and expectation in her gaze. My stomach dropped. Every muscle tensed. I could feel the duality within me, the man I had been and the woman I had become, battling for dominance. The room seemed to shrink, the air thicker, heavier. Time slowed. Every second stretched into an eternity. I reached for the mirror instinctively, clutching the frame as if it could anchor me. My reflection stared back, unwavering. It didn't lie. It didn't question. It simply was. The symbolic weight of that moment hit me. The mirror wasn't just reflecting my image, it was reflecting my choice, my identity, the transformation I had embraced. And now, I had to confront the consequences. Isabella's voice, calm but probing, called my name again. "Ethan, what's going on in here?" Panic, thrill, desire, and fear collided into one overwhelming storm. I knew the next few moments would define everything, our relationship, my secret, my identity. Every heartbeat screamed, every instinct screamed. And yet, amidst the chaos, a strange clarity emerged. I couldn't hide anymore. Not fully. Not ever. The door began to open, Claire frozen mid-step beside me. And as the threshold widened, the suspense reached its apex. My body trembled, my reflection shimmered with every emotion I felt, and I realized that the world outside, the world I had always known, would never see me the same way again. The question wasn't just whether I would be discovered. It was whether I could survive this confrontation, and whether I would emerge as Ethan, the woman I had become, or something entirely new. The room felt suspended in time. The heels, the dress, the long hair, the soft silk brushing against my skin, they were all symbols of a life that had erupted into reality. And standing there, at the edge of revelation, I knew one thing. There was no turning back. The climax had arrived. And everything I had hidden, everything I had feared, everything I had desired, was about to collide in one intense, unforgettable moment. The apartment felt impossibly still, each second stretching like elastic. I stood frozen, heart hammering, heels digging slightly into the floor. Isabella's eyes narrowed as she stepped closer, her expression a mixture of confusion, suspicion, and something I couldn't quite place. Curiosity, maybe even a hint of amusement. Claire stood beside me, wide-eyed and silent, the awkward tension between all three of us thick enough to choke on. I don't understand," Isabella said finally, her voice calm but firm. "Why are you like this?" Every word felt like a spotlight, illuminating the secret I had carried alone for years. My throat went dry. I wanted to explain, to justify, to tell her it was harmless, fun, a part of who I was, but the words felt trapped, heavy, impossible to release. I took a shaky breath, glancing at my reflection in the mirror one last time. The woman I had become stared back, defiant, vulnerable, radiant. It wasn't just a disguise. It was me. And the truth, however terrifying, demanded acknowledgement. I can explain," I whispered, voice quivering. This is who I am. Or part of who I am." My fingers clutched the silk of the dress, knuckles white, nails brushing the delicate fabric. Every instinct screamed to retreat, to pull back, to vanish into the old Ethan. But something inside me, a voice I hadn't allowed to speak before, urged me to stand tall, to show her, to be seen. Isabella tilted her head slightly, silent, studying me. The pause stretched, heavy with unspoken questions. Claire fidgeted, stepping back, unsure whether to intervene or leave us to the tension. The air felt charged, electric, like the calm before a storm that could erupt at any moment. Every heartbeat thundered in my ears, echoing the fear and exhilaration coursing through my body. Then came the sound that shattered the fragile calm, a knock at the door. My blood ran cold. Another visitor. Another twist. My mind raced through possibilities, panic clawing at me. I hadn't even begun to process what was happening with Isabella, and now the unknown threatened to tear everything apart. The knock came again, more urgent, a stark reminder that my secret world and the outside world were colliding. Isabella's eyes flicked toward the door, a shadow of suspicion crossing her face. "Who's that?" she asked, her tone controlled but wary. My pulse spiked. I glanced at Claire, then back at Isabella, realizing that I had no choice but to face the consequences of being discovered, or risk everything crumbling around me. I opened my mouth to speak, to answer, but no words came. Fear, excitement, shame, and thrill tangled together, leaving me paralyzed. The reflection in the mirror, the woman I had become, seemed to whisper at me, "You can't hide anymore. You have to be seen." And for a fleeting second, I felt something strange, almost liberating. A small surge of courage amidst the chaos. The doorknob rattled. The suspense was unbearable, a knife-edge moment that held every possibility. Acceptance, rejection, laughter, tears. I felt exposed in a way I had never felt before, every curve, every gesture, every tremor in my voice laid bare. Isabella's gaze met mine again, steady and questioning. The room held its breath. And in that frozen moment, I realized that nothing, no fear, no secrecy, no hesitation, would ever allow me to return to the way things were. A shadow appeared in the doorway. A figure paused, partially obscured. And then everything stopped. Time itself seemed to pause as I stared, unable to predict the next move. The tension, the thrill, the terror, all merged into a single, sharp moment that seared itself into memory. And just as I opened my mouth again, preparing to confront the consequences, the scene cut to silence, the story unresolved, the outcome uncertain. Was I about to be accepted? Judged? Rejected? Was my secret safe, or had my life just changed forever? The mirror reflected both my fear and my defiance, a perfect symbol of the life I had stepped into and the life I could no longer hide from. And as the room held its suspended suspense, one truth was undeniable. Nothing would ever be the same again.